With Season 7 finally underway, it seems that Rare might be listening to some of what the community has been asking for. After trying things out myself, I thought I'd take a minute to not only share what all has changed, but also add a few thoughts I had on them as well. Feel free to give me your thoughts on all these changes in the comments down below, and let's dive in. I'd like to start off by saying that while this update did unfortunately get delayed, I believe the delay was well worth the wait. Consisting of both quality of life changes along with PvP balance, this update is chock full of surprises aimed to change the way the game will be played moving forward. Starting with the quality of life changes, the Season 7 Captaincy update is finally here, and with it comes the opportunity to own your own captain's ship. Mind you, this feature isn't free and comes with a healthy gold investment relative to the ship you plan to purchase. Thankfully, you only need to do this once. The benefits of owning a captain's ship are as follows. You can finally name your ship whatever you want. Shocking how long this took, but better late than never, right? Though it should go without saying to please be careful of using any TOS names, as it can potentially get you suspended or even banned. You can now save your ship cosmetics across sessions and avoid having to reapply your favorite cosmetics each time you join a new server. This is something I've talked about for a long time, and now that it's here, it makes me excited for the possibility of getting it for our pirates as well. Though if you want your ship to look pristine, you'll have to pay a fee to the shipwright to repair it anytime it takes any damage. Finally, the means to deck out your ship with an array of cosmetics both inside and out. Now you can change everything in your ship from rugs, tables, chairs, or curtains, all to add that personal flair to a ship you can now call your own. Now let it be known that while none of these changes won't come cheap, they have made selling any loot you obtain infinitely easier. You may have noticed from my previous video showing off the new addition added to all the outposts, the Sovereign. The Sovereign are a new merchant alliance that, in terms of selling your loot, are similar to the Reaper's hideout and how they take any and all loot without discrimination. Beyond that, they have also added two new methods for offloading cargo. The first being much more obvious, acting like a makeshift pulley system with a platform and harpoon, boats can now park and poon items onto this new platform and immediately lower it to sell to the Sovereign faction. However, there's also a second, more sneaky method seemingly going unseen, and it's a thief's dream. Steals with rowboats will now play an even larger role than they ever have with the addition of the new docking spot in front of the Sovereign merchant. After a clean getaway, this will enable crews to swiftly dock and transfer stolen loot, regardless if you're just a solo seller without the paranoia of taking too long or getting caught. Though I'm certain there will be some that may find this next change cumbersome, I personally couldn't be happier for this addition that I'm certain will have achievement hunters cheering, and that's Milestones. Milestones are something I've secretly thought would be a wonderful quality of life addition to the game because it turns the entirety of your gameplay into the reward, rather than relying simply on earning gold. Under Milestones, players will be rewarded for any number of tasks throughout the Sea of Thieves that, when finished, award the player with new cosmetics for themselves and for their boats, effectively turning the old commendation system into something beyond a title grind, allowing you to show off all of your hard work and dedication. And for the moment you've all been waiting for, Rare has finally decided to make some changes to the PvP experience where sloopers may finally be catching a break. Anyone that's ever found themselves under fire on a sloop knows how frustrating it can be to get knocked off. While getting knocked off is certainly part of the game, it always felt a bit unbalanced, given how much smaller the sloop was versus other ship sizes, making the likelihood of getting knocked off and sinking greater if you found yourself sailing the seas on a sloop. Well, it might seem like those days are over, with sloops gaining a bit of a knockback protection, reducing the strength of cannon fire knockback and ultimately increasing survivability potential. While fun to pull off, Rare has decided that you can no longer chain shot an enemy mast using their own cannon. Essentially, you would find yourself boarding the enemy's ship, slaying out anyone you found, and then aim the cannon straight up to shoot out the mast. Admittedly, it will be kinda sad to see it go, but ultimately, I completely understand them patching it out. For those that were sad to hear you can no longer chain shot a mast with the enemy's own cannons, may find these next few changes debatable. Exclusive to the sloop, you must use at least 2 chain shots to take out its mast, or a combination of chain shots and cannonballs. In other words, 1 shot on a sloop's mast will only expose 2 cracks, and therefore provide anyone hit with the opportunity to recover. The reason I suggest this to be debatable, however, is due largely to the fact that even though it may help your personal survivability if you yourself often play on a sloop, it also helps anyone else doing the same. It should also be noted that regardless if you're a solo or a duo sloop, all sloop changes still apply. Personally, I think if it would be possible for these changes to be specific for solo sloopers only, rather than both solo and duo sloopers, it would be worth investigating, but we'll see how everything pans out as people play. As a side note, they have also added some new spawn points on the sloop, as well as decided to remove the respawn point at the Helm, given that it was a popular camping spot for boarders. Probably one of my personal PvP changes that I felt was long overdue was that you can now no longer res teammates on an enemy's ship. The immediate effect this is meant to have is to further remove the likelihood of spawn camping, with an aim to further balance resurrections against bigger crews. Resurrections was always a bit of a touchy subject when it came out, specifically since it largely favored crews. But with this new change, it may give swashbuckling sloopers a chance to recover from what otherwise could be a fatal mistake. Now lastly, and arguably the most controversial change they've made, was to respawn times. While most crews can expect their respawn times to hover around 15 seconds or so, a solo player will respawn in 10. In short, this will allow solo sloopers to feel like they can get more aggressive since the punishment for death isn't as high, whereas inversely, it means that taking out other sloopers shouldn't leave you feeling as confident as it did before. Ultimately, we're seeing a lot of love for sloopers in this patch, and while it may be considered a long time coming for some, it wouldn't be unreasonable to believe that all these changes compound into a sloop meta. I'll be interested to hear what everyone else thinks regarding these changes, but what's for certain is that Sea of Thieves this season has changed the game. Now that you're one step closer to being a true pirate legend, it's time you go out there and test your mettle with what you've learned. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you can always be notified of any upcoming videos. We stream regularly on Twitch at twitch.tv/Copiousjack, with all our links located down below. And remember,
it's not about the gold, it's about the glory.